Tammy went slowly on in mortal terror, his hair on end, a cold sensation like a film of ice between his scalp and his skull, and a cold sweat bursting from every pore. But he knew it was useless to flee, and he said if he had to die, he would rather see who killed him than die with his back to the foe. Scotland is no stranger to water spirits or horse-like monsters, from Lavaland to Shellycoats, Kelpies to Nuggles. But there is one that stands above all, described as the nastiest demon in all of Scottish folklore, and like something out of a painting by Hieronymus Bosch. So let's talk about this devil of the sea. The Nuckelavee. The Nuckelavee is a sea monster that terrorises the Orkneys and other islands off the coast of Scotland. On land it is half horse, half man. A male torso grows out of the horse's back, its head lolling listlessly, its ape-like arms dragging along the ground. The demon's true head, the horse head, spews toxic vapour from its mouth and is surmounted by a single burning eye. The Nuckelavee's legs have fins for swimming, and the whole creature is skinless, muscle and bone exposed and glistening, while black blood pulses through yellow veins. The Nuckelavee can bring drought, wilt crops, and sickened livestock, but fortunately, the demon is confined for the summer months. Let me tell you about two powerful spirits, Teran and the Sea Miver. Both claim dominion over the sea, but Teran is a malevolent winter spirit, while the Sea Miver is the calming spirit of summer. During those summer months, the Sea Miver, at the height of her power, is able to keep Teran and his servant, the Nuckelavee, contained. However, the constant battle drains her and, come autumn, Teran is able to get the upper hand and the Nuckelavee runs free once more. But, terrifying as it is, the wrath of the Nuckelavee is not inescapable. Let us cast our minds back 200 years or so, to the Orkney Islands of the 18th century. A crofter named Tam makes his living by harvesting kelp. Frequent sea storms throw great quantities of seaweed up onto the low beaches, and, by gathering and burning the seaweed, crofters could make what was known as kelp, a useful fertiliser, but perhaps more importantly, a key component in the glass and soap-making industries. Summer was over, and the kelp harvesting season was on the wane, but Tam was determined to eke out as much as possible from this year's harvest. His wife Effie was expecting, and Tam knew that they would need the money to support their growing family. Effie sat near the stone-lined pit, her dog cradled in her lap. A fire burned deep inside the pit, and it was Effie's job to make sure it did not go out, as Tam dragged bundles of seaweed up from the beach. The sea breeze carried smoke from the pit inland, and Tam frowned, anticipating the harsh words from his neighbours. Just last week, a plague had come to the island. They called it mortasheen, and horses afflicted with it sickened, weakened, and more than a few died. They blamed the plague on the smoke from the kelp pits, but Tam was not convinced. After all, hadn't the kelp pits been burning all summer with no ill effects? As the sun set, turning the sea the colour of blood, Effie helped Tam cover the pit with turf. They would leave it burning overnight, and then Tam would return in the morning to collect the ash. Hand in hand, they set off up the coast towards their cottage, Effie's dog scampering ahead of them. The evening was chill, and Tam shucked off his jacket and draped it over his wife's shoulders. As he did so, he could not resist placing a hand on her belly. Effie insisted that the child was kicking, but Tam had yet to feel it himself. Maybe this time. He was interrupted by sudden urgent barking. He saw the dog staring at something in the distance and then go racing off towards the waterline. Effie called after her pet, but to no avail, so she started dragging her husband in pursuit. The moon was a sliver of a thing tonight, and they stumbled in the dark. Tam could hear the lapping of the waves against the sand, feel the water start to seep in through his boots. And then he saw the shape rise out of the darkness. It was a horse and rider. No, not a rider, for the man was part of the horse. He lolled as if drunk, or dead, his left arm dragging through the surf. There was no skin on that arm. No skin anywhere on the creature. Only red muscle and bleached bone, damp and glistening. Tam raised a hand to his nose. The stench coming off the creature was wretched. He coughed, and in doing so drew the creature's attention. The horse's head turned, and a single eye, burning with flame, glared balefully down at him. And beyond the head, Tam could now see the creature's right arm and the broken body of the small black dog clasped within elongated fingers. Effie screamed. The creature opened its mouth, belching yellow-green smoke.
"Are you the one who tastes my air?"
it said.
"Are you the one who burns my seed bounty?"
It's you, isn't it? Tam guessed. You're the one who poisoned our horses.
"That and more,"
the creature said.
"You have insulted me, and for that you must die."
Tam did not hesitate. He turned and ran. His hand was tight around his wife's as he pulled her along behind him. The way was uneven, and Tam had to drop to all fours to scamper up the bank, trying to ignore the pounding of the hooves right behind him. He crested the rise, but then slipped and fell, tumbling down the slope beyond. He rolled, unable to stop his own descent. He lost his grip on Effie, but he could hear her nearby. He could hear the creature too. His fall was arrested with a splash as he plunged into the shallows at the edge of the loch. He could see his wife next to him, but she was dazed, having hit her head on the way down. The creature was making its way slowly towards them, flame billowing from its nostrils. "Get away from us!" Tam yelled. He threw up his arms, sending a spray of water towards the demon. It reared back as if stung. Tam blinked, surprised, and then it hit him. The creature was a sea monster. It was at home in salt water, but fresh water was something else entirely. He scooped more water up into his hands and hurled it at the creature, which retreated. It was only a few steps, but it was enough. It brought Tam enough time to pick up his wife and, cradling her in his arms, wade deeper into the loch. The creature surged after them, but came to a sudden halt at the loch edge, unable to enter the water. The fresh water. Tam felt something brush against his leg. Another thing tried to make its way beneath his shirt. But he knew that whatever was in the loch with him was nowhere near as deadly as the thing that stalked the bank. The cold threatened to sap the strength from his limbs, but Tam's love for his wife and their unborn child gave him the strength to stay upright. But for how long? The creature was pacing back and forth, waiting for Tam to come back to it. And then the heavens opened. Tam felt it on his face at first. A few heavy drops of rain, followed quickly by dozens, hundreds, thousands more, churning up the surface of the loch. And on the bank, the creature was screaming as its flesh burned beneath the rain. Unable to endure any longer, it galloped away, back to the safety of the sea. And Tam, still clutching his wife, staggered back to dry land, where he collapsed exhausted, and with one hell of a tale to tell his future child. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe down below. Thank you for watching. I hope to be back with more tales very soon.